Okay. What's going on, you guys? Justin, aka Boomer, Beer League Bum Hockey Reviews, and today we are going to get into sticks and skates. I'm going to tell you where I think you should be spending your money for being a beer league hockey player and where this stuff can actually improve your game and why it is that I make these two pieces of equipment my top priority. Stick around. Look around any beer league locker room and you have so much different tiered equipment, it's actually very interesting. The stick racks are sometimes the most fun to look at. I will say the better teams in beer league seem to have better sticks across the rack than those at the lower levels or understand how sticks affect their game. Of course, there may have also better players, but it's crazy the confidence I get when using my dialed in stick compared to my backup stick or the one I don't like. It seems odd to me because despite the cost savings that might be approaching some of the really low end gear, it can be much fun rocking some of this gear, especially that X60 stick that I showed earlier. And it's actually not even a cost saver if you know where to actually look. So it's not just money, it could be just information, which is I hope I'm going to be able to provide, and maybe some outlets for you guys to look into. I'm not chirping here, guys. It's one thing I want you guys to understand. I feel like this can help you invest a bit and improve your game. Or just do a bit of research and testing gear and watching my videos, and you can learn maybe what it is that can help your game so you're not such a beer league bum. When I first started, I wore the low end skates, the Canadian Tire Specials. I rocked the Sherwood Coffee wood sticks. And when I first started, it was greatly uncomfortable and not exactly fun, but I really didn't know much better. And I'm hoping that if you're that type of person that's just starting out or even been using that gear for years, I'm going to be able to help you. It's one thing to wear some old Sherwood flimsy shoulder pads and use sticks so heavy that you can barely shoot. But you need to understand, one enhances performance and helps you get better, whereas the shoulder pads in beer league, although I've mentioned they are part of my repertoire for safety, doesn't necessarily mean it's where you need to invest high amounts of money for performance. What I've learned since testing so many sticks as well is that it's actually, as long as you stay in the $120 to $300 stick range, or a pro stock or last year's model, you can have some really good performance. Say the Ripcore 76K, for example. I just recently purchased one of those to do a comparison video with the top end sticks, and I was amazingly impressed. It's going to come out in a video coming in the future. Same with the skates. Stick with last generation's model in a mid or higher tier, and you have some great skates for almost half the price of the top tier currently out. For example, the Hyperlights. Instead, go pick up the 2X Pro from last year or just the 2X, which is the next tier, and you're going to be in only the $300 or $400 range for a top end skate that brings tons of features that even the Hyperlight still has, but you're not going to be breaking the bank on this $1,500 craziness that comes with some of the top tier skates. I get a lot of questions on why I spend so much money on sticks and skates and even every other aspect of my hockey equipment all the time. And the simple answer is no matter how good or bad you are, specific types of equipment and training can help your game far more than others. Skates and sticks are those two pieces of equipment that I recommend you dial in and invest at least a little bit more than you would other things like elbow pads, shin guards, etc. Those seem to have more or less the same performance aspect than having a high-end stick compared to a low-end shin guard, for example. When it comes to equipment, skates and stick enhance my game. I'm not bragging here, guys, but I just scored my 100th goal of the season in 70 games. It's pretty good for a beer leaguer, and when you look at the stats I just showed you, I'm pretty far above anyone else. Again, I'm not bragging. Yes, I play a lot, but I'll tell you now, it's because I have my shot dialed in with a specific stick, and my skates are light and comfortable, and I'm fast, and I work on those two aspects of the game. Skating and shooting are the most important aspects of hockey offense in beer league that will set you apart from others. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm the best hockey player or knowledge base in the world, but I'll tell you that these two pieces of gear are so underrated by beer leaguers that they don't think it's worth the investment. No matter how good or bad you are, it's just enhancement with a good stick and skates that can hinder you if you use a heavy stick and uncomfortable and awkward clunky skates. So with all that being said, I'm hoping that this video will help guys going, why do certain players wear this top end gear and spend so much money, and hopefully help you understand you can as well for less money and still see great improvements in your game and comfort, and why I say do your best at least to get the mid-level or above skates and sticks and not worry so much about the other aspects of the equipment. It's just not as critical to maintaining some of that more high-end, if you want to call it, beer league skill. So let's get into exactly what I'm talking about when I say dialing in your skates and stick to your game so it enhances exactly what you're bringing to the table. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the footage. And yes, I did hit 88 miles per hour and 84, I think it was, with a stick mystery. Of course, that will be in another video. Just finished a whole bunch of testing. I have about 5 or 6 sticks and just did some back-to-back radar testing with a Bushnell radar gun. Had a lot of fun. Still a little bit inconsistent, but you'll see that in the next video. So let's get into it. We got skates and sticks. This is exactly what I was saying is so important in this video for beer leaguers to still focus on, as at least getting some decent equipment. Now, in the beginning of the video, I showed you guys some stick racks, and without getting too far into details, some of the stick racks that had better sticks were definitely better teams with maybe more committed, better skilled players, and those on the lower tier, the lower beer league, had sticks that were like the Vic and the X20, etc. Those sticks are very challenging to use. They're very clunky, they're very heavy. They definitely don't enhance your game, and even if you're not a great beer league player, that's really not going to help in this situation. So here's my tips for sticks. I think it's very important that you spend a little bit more money on sticks than you generally would anything else. And that does not mean you go buy the $400 PX that just came out like I did to review. What it means is you spend more money than you would in your relation for your game to how you feel you normally should, and test something new. So if you're the type of guy that's like, I like to spend, only a mid-tier level on sticks, I spend $150, that's my cap. That's great. Then what you should be doing is looking for last year's release or 2 model years before, or even 3 at some less known stores, and you're going to find some smoking deals for things like a Flylight, a Trigger 4, the AS2, those types of products from different companies are going to be available for really cheap on clearance that are going to outperform anything that you buy that's on the clearance rack. Don't go to Canadian Tire and pick up a composite stick. That's not what you're looking for here. You're looking for a decent stick in that mid-range. If you spend maybe a little bit more money like I do, then I would really research, watch my videos, and you'll see what kind of stick sounds the best for you in terms of the top tier. As well, I would ask a friend in warm-up if you're interested in a stick, if you could use it. Yes, you're probably going to pay for it if you break it. The odds that you are is pretty rare, especially if you get a couple shots off. If you see somebody with a stick you're interested in, ask them to have a few shots, see if it's something that you like, and at least then you're not spending the money that you would and then be disappointed. Also, feel is more important than kick point. Now, a lot of people are going to argue, kick point is for quick shots and mid kick is for, slap shots. Really not that true. I just dealt with 6 different sticks, and honestly, they all shot very similar. It was all about feel. It was the feel on how fast I felt I could get the release off from my shooting style, how my slap shots felt from my shooting style. I think that is more important. I think you should stick with that. Don't go in being like, I'm a quick forward and I do quick release, so I'm going to use a Vapor Flylight. What you should be thinking is, I wonder what stick's going to give me the best possible shot power, etc., based on some of the research that I've done. And I'll tell you right now, most of the time it's not going to be the Vapor Flylight just because you think it's going to be, or the AS4 because you take big slap shots from the corner or something. Trust me on that. As well, the curve for your game, extremely important. Make sure you actually dial in your curve. When I change curves, it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. That's something that I really have dialed in. I use the P28. I used to use a P14. it's extremely important that you're used to it. I went to a P92 on the PX and it was terrible. I couldn't do it. So that's how important it is that you dial in your curve. And unfortunately that may take some time. And again, shooting different sticks, learning about different curves and trying them out. Just is what it is. Finally, guys, is the training aspect of this. Using the time in warm up in beer league, etc., to get better at your shooting. That's what I did when I first started. I first started using a Coffey Sherwood wood stick, but I spent all my time practicing shooting, learning technique, watching guys like Austin Matthews, Phil Kessel, all the like shooting and learning that technique. You'll see that in the slow-mo video that I posted in this vid of the slow-mo flex of the stick and the technique. That really helps, but you gotta learn it and you gotta practice it. I would ask somebody else to critique your shot as well. That helps a lot. So you do those things and that will help you dial in the stick. The end of the day here, guys, though, the stick really shouldn't be heavy, clunky, unbalanced, made out of mostly fiberglass. It's just not gonna perform the way you want it to. I don't care if you're the worst beer leaguer on the team or you're the best. Trust me, the stick will help. Let's get into skates. All right, guys, as we finish up this video on the two most pieces of beer league equipment I recommend you spending a little bit of money on, holding up my Vapor Hyperlight skate, and if you've seen my other videos, I'm looking forward to purchasing 2 new pairs of skates this year that will be top end. However, the biggest thing with skates is, yes, these are amazing skates. Yes, they're comfortable. Downside, yes, they're $1,500, but they have amazing features, etc. But the thing is when it comes to skates, is this skate is really available most of the features and feel a previous generation ago. Or the skate from that one is still available on the tier below the next set of skates, for example. So a 2X Pro is very similar to, say, a 3X Pro that's currently out right now. So you do not need the Hyperlight as much as I love these skates, but in terms of skate recommendation, I do recommend that you keep your skates on the high end. When I first started playing hockey, I actually just went through skates 3 or 4 times, testing a few others, and I'll tell you what I did is I ran into Canadian Tire, threw on a couple off-the-shelf boxes, threw them on, sure, feels okay, started playing. Didn't quite work out. Like, we're talking $80 skates here. Run into Sport Chek, grab a Bauer skate. It looks like it's a good skate. It's Bauer, you know, whatever, $100 skates, put them on, they're okay. The end of the day, the skate is the one thing that you're on the ice with and connects you to the game. And it's far more important than people give it credit for. When I see people rocking, say, Grafs or Trues, really old skates that look like leathery and they're just not great skaters, those types of aspects really affect your game. You might not believe it does, but trust me, it does. The best players are using good, new technology top-end skates. And I'm not trying to chirp guys wearing the Grafs or the Trues from way up on yonder. That's not what I'm saying here, guys. I'm saying that those skates just lack some of the nice features, comfort, you know, lightness and things that go with these types. So when I'm looking at skates, my biggest recommendation for you is, first of all, get a real store. Go find like an actual hockey store that sizes you up for skates. Don't go into Sport Chek, Canadian Tire, etc., unless you've been sized and you understand what you're getting. Get properly sized. Get your foot checked, see exactly what size you're working on. Then do some research on blade type, what type of radius profiles and stuff you're gonna want to use, what kind of hollow you're gonna use, what kind of steel would work for those types of things. And then of course, do some research and find out what the previous skate or the previous skate before that if you're on a budget. That's the way to do it. I recommend the Hyperlights to anybody, but not everybody has $1,500, and nor would I ever expect anybody to do that just because I say these are great skates. But I'll tell you right now, the 2X Pro I saw on sale for $450. Top end skate used to be $1,200 a year or two ago. You can go pick up online after you get sized or whatever, or you know your size, for $400. Or stick with Pro Stock. You can find Pro Stock sticks, Pro Stock skates, etc. So just do a little bit of research, guys. Put some time and effort into sticks and skates, and I'm telling you right now, it's gonna enhance your game. You're gonna enjoy it a lot more. You're gonna love it, and you're gonna enjoy being more of a beer league bum than most people are. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to show you guys the radar gun video. Stick around for next week. I'll see you then.